Hey, Jed.
Hey Jamie, how are you?
I never know what to say when we come in. Like we're waiting for that awesome intro to come up.
Uh,
Then we come back and we're like, who's going to talk first? Is it me? You?
what's you? Because it's your show
All
tonight.
right, I'll take it then.
Yep,
Cool,
yep.
cool. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Paranormal Lens. I'm Jamie Widener, your host for tonight, along with my co-host Chad Thomas. Hey, Chad, what's happening?
Coming back down off the holidays. Took a little
Yeah,
break last week. It was nice to not be here on a Tuesday night, but we
it,
were here sort of.
yeah, well, me in spirit, and
So,
physical and presentation. So, uh,
David was here last week, and
yeah,
we missed him. I don't know how that
I
worked.
ships in the night.
So, did you have a good? I mean, did you have a good holiday?
I think so. It happens so fast.
Hmm.
And I say this every year, like this is the year I'm going to slow down and enjoy and take the pace of it all and kind of just be there. And what do I do? The 2 weeks before, I'm flying around trying to find those gifts that I didn't figure out yet. The day comes, the night before comes, and that's the calm, right?
Hmm.
Christmas Eve, we went to church, did the good stuff there. And then Saturday morning or Sunday morning was as it was Monday morning. Monday. Was it
Monday
Monday?
morning.
Jeez, what was it? Um, you know, the process begins, kids opening gifts and everybody doing the thing and, stuff's papers flying and the impatience of waiting for the excitement. I'd say not impatience, the excitement of waiting for the next gift. But we know it's impatience, right?
Right.
But, and then all of a sudden it's done. And it's like, okay, now what?
Yep.
And then the stuff that we normally, the routine stuff comes in. But man, it just goes so fast. And no matter how hard you try to put pause and pace it, it just
It
seems like it's
flies
going in a
through,
blink.
and we
And then that week in
roll.
between is no man's land, right?
Yep.
Like I had to work. So I had the goodness of getting out in the house and everything, but everybody else is off school and off work themselves here where it was like a nebulous time.
Hmm.
Bedtimes didn't matter anymore. The kids went feral really quick, like summer vacation feral.
Uh-huh.
Um, so and today they paid the price, right? Um,
Hmm.
but it's just like this thing. And
Well,
and
t
New
yeah,
Year's was another
typically,
thing.
for me, that week between New Year or Christmas and New Year's is slow at work.
Okay.
Not this year. We got hit with a big project that has to be shipped next week. So my department we got to get it done. So the next, and it was a short week, but we're into the new year, and that means exciting new things. And look at what Jim commented here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We've got stuff coming up, and it's a new year, and we're going to the mill again, and
Well, some of us will be going for the first time.
I know we're looking forward to that. But
Yeah. I'm gonna
Daryl's going to be with us again. Ron and Lourdes.
I'm
So,
wrapping my foot in bubble wrap till then, I swear. So I'm gonna make it one way or the other.
hmm but anyway, enough about that. What are we here to talk about, Jamie?
Well, it's an interesting one tonight, Chad. It is the legend, the myth, the lore that is the Chupacabra.
Okay.
And this is a Chupacabra, El Chupacabra technically, is a is probably the world's second most famous vampire. And I say that because it is also called the chupacabra is Spanish for goat sucker. And it means basically that this creature, which here we go, right off the bat, a wanted dead or well, actually wanted alive poster, um, is trying to show a rendition of what the chupacabra is. But it's the goat sucker. It is what it sounds like. It attacks animals and sucks their blood. So hence being a vampire. Uh, I know this is a really, really hard read, and unfortunately, I couldn't find a better rendition of this. But I want to note here that this reward was created by something called the International Society of Cryptozoology, which was a thing back in the day. It was founded in 1982. It looks like it dissolved right around 1988 officially as an entity. And it was founded as a center for documenting and evaluating topics of interest for cryptozoologists. There was a website that was active until 2005, which was a catalog type website where there was, a definition of what the various things that it discovered or cataloged were. And it published a journal called Cryptozoology all the way through 1996. So sadly, it's a loss, right? I think. Uh,
Uh-huh.
but this being they want alive, kind of started some people off in the woods where they had gone before. Um, and unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess perhaps for the Chupacabra, none have ever been found to be rewarded on. So it's officially classified as a cryptid. It's described to be somewhere between, here we go, more visualization, somewhere between 3 to 5 inches tall. It is a bipedal creature, has powerful rear legs, allowing it to leap large or huge distances, has long claws, short gray hair or fur, glowing red eyes. And every cryptid has to have glowing red eyes, right?
Right.
To make it official. It's said to have 3 fingers on each hand. So it has 2 appendages for arms and hands. Spikes or quills run down its back. And some additional claims from later encounters will be that it has wings. So the original did not. It has spikes that may be feathered on its back. Some say it has a tail. And it has abnormally large ears. Some say it has no ears at all. And this one I love because it is just so odd. The most odd observation is that the creature does not have an anus. Yeah. So, like with all the things going on with the sighting of a Chupacabra, how do you notice that it doesn't have a butthole?
I'm not going to get that close to look. I mean,
come on, man. So, the title Chupacabra was officially penned by the local newspaper in a newspaper in Puerto Rico. I'll get to the story of that in a moment. And as you can tell by the renderings that we're showing here, there is no known photographs or videos actually of the Chupacabra. So it is all on largely on one single encounter, which again, we'll get to that story in a second, but and everything else then is a rendering of it or tales of it after. So the claims for it largely are being a nocturnal animal or creature, that it attacks goats, cats, dogs, chickens, and other small animals, and drains the blood of its victims, but does not eat it. So it is not looking for a meal per se, other than the blood. So quite interesting. A little scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the sightings officially, and or probably more say anecdotally than officially, sightings are known to date back through the 1970s. But the first truly detailed description of the Chupacabra came in 1995 from Puerto Rico. The title was given to the creature shortly after by the newspaper. There's a town right outside of San Juan where the story begins. And since that time, the Chupacabra has been seen in Mexico, Chile, Argentina, and of course here in the U.S.
Okay.
So as much as this is a mystery, it might have been solved. Okay, so I'm going to cite a gentleman named Benjamin Radford in this wonderful book, Tracking the Chupacabra. I recommend it. You can find it on Amazon from 2011. His spin on this is that the vampire beast. It's called the Chupacabra, Tracking the Chupacabra, the Vampire Beast in Fact, Fiction, and Folklore. I got to give him full credit for his title. He presents the following information. The Chupacabra was tracked back to a single eyewitness in Puerto Rico named Madeline Tolentino. Madeline's sighting came from her home, her kitchen window in her house in the town of Canovas near San Juan one early August evening in 1995. Now, August and 1995 are important here. Remember those two. It became the basis for most, if not all, other accounts of the Chupacabra going forward. She offered the following description. It was bipedal with dark eyes, long limbs, and spiked down its back. It also hopped like a kangaroo and smelled of sulfur. Okay. Now, this description does not match any known animal in Puerto Rico or anywhere else for that matter. It's quite unique. Her description was covered by the local newspaper, making the story a front page headline, and was picked up then by the newly created internet, the World Wide Web, as they used to call it, and making the story on a very early viral sensation. So it went wide and fast really quickly. So here's the catch. So Mrs. Tolentino or Ms. Tolentino description mirrors almost exactly the central title character of the movie Species. Go next slide. Now, this also came out in 1995 and it came out in July. So it was in the movie theaters in Puerto Rico and everywhere else in the world at that time. In later interviews, she admits that she had recently seen the film and admits that the resemblance to the chupacabra was really impressive. And for those who missed Species back in '95 or anytime shortly thereafter, go watch it. It's a pretty good movie, and I think it stands up. It's quite interesting. It's got a lot of stars in it: Ben Kingsley, Michael Madsen, Forrest Whitaker, and Alfred Molina are a lot of stars, and Natasha Henstridge there is the title. So it starts off with a character named Syl, who is in the center upper picture. Aha, Heather. All right, well, there we go. Debunked. And Syl's character is human, but mixed with alien DNA. She grows up super fast and becomes Natasha Henstridge in the bottom picture, which quickly then becomes the creature visible on the right-hand side. So, and actually, the movie takes place in Puerto Rico, of all things, so quite near home, at the Arecibo Observatory, which, if you recall the movie, the James Bond movie GoldenEye, was the end scene location there as well. A very large spectral scope that was built into the ground. Sadly, it collapsed back in the '90s and late '90s, I think it was. So it's no longer in use. But anyway, that's a little bit off point, but really cool movie too, GoldenEye. So per Radford, he does not believe Miss Tolentino is a liar or a hoaxer, and that she genuinely believes she saw a creature that has never before been seen. So, and she's adamant to this day that this is what she saw. She's still with us. So this is only from '95. So she certainly is still alive and well out there in Cannabis. So this is interesting, right? There's some things about this that are tricky because of the proximity to the film Species and the resemblance, and I'm putting these pictures together on purpose to see kind of the way this could look the same. Is it an issue of overactive imagination? Could there have been a few glasses of rum involved that evening? I don't know. And I'm not going to quantify it. It's other place. We believe people's stories. We do. What I find interesting is it led to some conspiracy theories. And there are two primary ones that I think were interesting. There are some in Puerto Rico who believe the U.S. government has been conducting top secret experiments in the El Ñuque rainforest for decades. And it is believed that the chupacabra was created in a laboratory and released to wreak havoc on the local farmlands and residents. Now, that's pretty sinister, right? Would we do that as a government?
No, we wouldn't do anything like that, Jamie.
Maybe. Sure. It's possible. And the other is that there is the Caribbean Primate Research Center on the island as well, and that a mutated monkey or ape escaped and went on a killing spree. Maybe, right?
It could be. Yeah.
Plausible was the first one. So, because there is not a physical sighting with any kind of photograph or video evidence, it's all theoretical. Maybe, right?
Right.
And that's what paranormal is all about. So, as you've already moved over to the slide, there's some reality here. And what I find really interesting is that, anytime you look at something a little deeper than just the surface claim, you tend to see more things, right? A lot of flash on the surface. This is cool. This is exciting. This is a possibility. So this is what we're being told the chupacabra is. It's this creature attacking animals, draining their blood, all that stuff.
Right.
So the interesting thing now is that once the chupacabra comes to America, I've got this vision of it sitting on the front of the boat, like the scene in Titanic where the King of the World is hanging on the front of the boat, just saying, "Go that way."
I was seeing the Eddie Murphy Coming to America.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Thank you. Here we are. So. The creature comes to America. The sightings are now starting to chalk up here, because, again, the World Wide Web, exploding the information about this, the sensationalism of it. And once it gets here, the description changes. Instead of being a bipedal animal, now it's four-legged. Instead of having brown skin, it now has brown skin or fur. It now has burnt skin and certainly a more canine appearance, akin to a hairless dog or coyote, something that was commonly found in reported in Florida, Texas, and the rest of the U.S. Southwest. So nothing in between Florida and Texas, the Gulf states themselves, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi. Mm-hmm. but all the way. So it gets from Florida to Texas somehow. Okay. No, obviously they could swim for all we know. Who knows? Current could have carried it. The change in description from a two-legged to a four-legged creature led to carcasses being found of animals fitting the description of the chupacabra. And no two-legged bodies have been found, as I mentioned. Upon scientific DNA analysis of the animals, it was determined that either dogs or coyotes with severe mange that causes their hair to fall out, or skin to shrivel, and a parasitic infection known as I'm going to say this wrong. We'll try really hard though. Sarcoptes scabii, also known as scabies, that causes those infected to have a gaunt, almost monstrous appearance. Were likely the culprit, the grossness or disfiguration of these animals. So, not a chupacabra, right?
Right.
So, and here you see, from a distance, from a quick view, they certainly don't look like regular animals. Coyotes have large ears, so therefore they already look off to those who don't know what they're seeing than a regular dog would look. But once they become gaunt, lose their fur, they certainly don't look the same. So, kind of the general conclusion here. Since all of the found carcasses were identified as dogs or coyotes, the logical explanation is that these animals are the culprits. In most cases, blood was still found in the victims, debunking the vampiric claim of the body being drained. Canines and coyotes have fang-like teeth and instinctively attack the neck of their victims, leaving puncture wounds, much like the claim of what a vampire would do. Makes sense? We both have dogs. We know.
Right.
Many canines simply attack to kill and do not eat the victim, hence the carcass is found intact, with only puncture wounds from the attack itself. This is important. Given the debilitating impact of mange and scabies a dog or coyote would be in, it's very likely that I cannot read my own writing tonight, guys. I'm sorry. It's very likely that they attack livestock, such as goats, chickens, or other small animals, because it would be easier to capture them than their natural prey, which would be much more elusive. So they're not going to get around as easily or as well as they would. So they go find the most likely thing that they can catch. And again, that's likely something that's in a pen or in an enclosure where it can't escape, doesn't have the means to, and these animals can get out. So it makes sense. Given the unique appearance of an animal affected by mange or scabies, is entirely plausible as seen in the wild. That would not be recognizable as the animal that it really is, and therefore believed to be the mysterious chupacabra. However, given that a chupacabra might exist, people are still claiming to have sightings or experiences with it, and any strange animal that would be commonly looped into the chupacabra family. So even if it's something you didn't see completely and it could have a very good logical explanation, it's a chupacabra. So,
right.
Well, welcome to urban legend / folklore 101, right? If you don't know what it is, lump it into something that you do.
Right.
And hence, the story continues today. This is a wonderful crossover between folklore and urban legend, but it is unlikely not a real thing. And with that being said, though, I lived in Arizona about 15 years ago, and I had friends who would not let their small animals out at night alone for the fear that the chupacabra may get them. So not too long ago, and all of this is not that long ago, 1995 to now, it's a lifespan for all of us. We were all alive in 95, you and I at least. And, do you remember what you were doing in 1995?
Yeah, I was in Brunei.
Okay.
So, yeah. But yeah.
No chupacabras there then.
No. Monkeys. We had monkeys. That's another story for a different time.
The barrel of monkeys. Okay. So that's chupacabra in a nutshell. It is, like I said, it's a folklore and an urban legend, and likely a fabricated story to begin with, but one that has grown and expanded and traveled a long, long distance. When we deal with most of these things, okay.
Heather knows what she was doing.
All right. Yes, that is something else to be true. And it's easy to do in Puerto Rico. Rum is on tap. The curious thing for me was how far this went. Mexico, Chile, these are not close. I mean, they are close to the Caribbean. Mexico is, of course, it touches the Caribbean, but Chile being where it is just a little further for me. The, so I gotta share this one. Um,
Yeah, so
we can't both click the button. Well, Bert, tell me there's rum involved in this too. I guess, right? The distance that it traveled, and as we are now the internet's exploded, obviously, in growth and capacity and all the good things that it's provided us, more so now than it was 30 years ago. But the amazing thing is, stories still spread like this.
Right.
Except now we can fact check them and do research quickly and at fingertips. Where before, with this time, if you didn't have a reference material for it, then you had to kind of go, maybe.
Yeah,
now we debunk things almost instantly.
But the flip side of that, Jamie, is if the internet had been there, had been developed, it was there. I remember dial-up in
Right.
1995.
Of course.
But
you got your disc from the store, your free disc of your AOL.
But anyway, if the internet had been there, would this have exploded even more?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because because the research or spinning of tales, it could have gone either way. It could have taken off, and then people would be out hunting for them and looking for them and finding more and more of what we're showing here. It could have gone either way.
That's true. And even with it, even with the slow growth through those first many years, let's use the world's the world's greatest hide and seek character, Bigfoot, right? So we've known about Bigfoot since the 70s at least. I remember like 72, 73, the infamous photograph is taken on the creek bed. This upright bipedal, tall looking fur covered thing was moving through the woods, almost unimpeded, seemingly uncaring that there were humans nearby. And all of these years go by, and we are out in the woods trekking all the time. And you watch the Travel Channel. They have a show, 2 shows maybe now. And just to clarify too, you are not a Chupacabra. So, okay. All the stuff that we're doing, with technology, with all of the drones we can have up in the skies all times of day, night vision, the thermal imaging, we're still not finding Bigfoot, right? Or we're not finding a Yeti or anything, that's this lore that's been around longer than the Chupacabra. And we're not stopping to try either. We're still at it. And I think there's probably somebody out there now. This gentleman, Benjamin Bradford, wrote this book. He went out and did a lot of field research. He obviously went to Puerto Rico and interviewed Miss Tolentino, but he went elsewhere too, throughout the Southwest and some of Central America, trying to track down the people who provided stories. Again, because welcome to the internet, right? As soon as you provide something, it's documented. It's there. It's a reference tool.
It's hard to make it go away.
Yeah, right. Even if you want to. But he tracked down people and he sat down with them and he talked with them in their spaces, not some dude somewhere far away, on a phone call. He sat face to face, and it's a whole lot different story when you're in front of somebody, and that was important to him. And I think that's really cool because it just adds to the seriousness of it and their claim. It validates them. And these folks who were interviewed are very clear what they saw and what happened. Now it's always after the fact too. So the body's not there anymore to examine for the animal that was the victim. And it's a story, and in some cases, the story's been cold for a while, so it's being retold. And who knows what sensationalism goes into stories, because we're all the hero. We're always the hero in our own stories, right? So is there some embellishment? Possibly. I'm not here to challenge any claims, but it's quite curious, that in that spirit, what you described, the internet could have made this even a bigger thing, but I still think it is a big thing. It's like the third most known cryptid in the world. By survey, it's right behind Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster.
Okay.
Everybody seems to know what the Chupacabra is. They don't know what it is definitely, like as far as definition, but they've heard of it. So are people out there still looking? I'm sure they are. But they're still not finding anything, just like we're not finding Bigfoot.
Right.
Or the Loch Ness Monster, or any of these other mythical cryptids that we claim roam the world. But we're still looking, and I think it's cool. I really
Now,
do.
when did you say the guy wrote the book?
2011.
Okay, so
things have changed, right?
yep.
But in doing research for this, I'm all over the internet looking at everything I can find. There is still no better claim than the one from Puerto Rico in '95.
Right.
It's something that otherwise it's something that was out on the edge of the field, running quickly away. So again, that's a dog, right?
Right.
It's a feral animal of sorts, whether it be a coyote or a dog. It's not going to come right up and pet you, let you pet it. If it is infected with mange or scabies, it's not going to come close anyway because it probably hurts too much.
Right.
To move. They're minimizing movement, but they're still looking for food. They've got to eat. They need a resource. And a lot of animals kill for the pleasure of killing. So that's sad, unfortunately. So there's some curiousness here still.
Yep.
I want to share something else. And I thought about this after I read it a lot. There's a passage in the research that I did that I want to share because I think it's important for all of us in the paranormal field. And I don't remember where I saw it. I apologize. I jotted it down on a piece of paper quickly, but I'm only going to give credit to, and I apologize to whomever this belongs to for that. But the quote was this: "These tales of the paranormal are allowed to persist because few people investigate them properly. They tend to be approached with gullibility and not skepticism. The claims they make are extraordinary, and the evidence we should ask for before believing in them, hook, line, and sinker, should be equally extraordinary." And I thought that was very interesting and very poignant. And this is how urban legends grow. This is how folklore expands. And, we tend to believe the fantastic, but we tend not to ask for evidence or proof.
Right.
And, it's like the statistic of having a negative experience. If you have a negative experience in anything that happens, you tend to tell 7 people. If you have a positive experience, statistically, you tend to tell 2 to 3 at the most. So twice as many people hear about a negative thing that happened to you than they do a positive. So these stories go like that. We tend to want to tell these fantastic things to more people because we want to get them interested in something we think is cool.
Right.
And are we stopping, though, to say, is it real? Is it true? Is it a fact? And yes, the internet's definitely more available than ever before for the fact checking. But there are going to be times when there is no fact to check against. And the story has to just be best story sometimes. Aha. Well, Chris, we're going to have to get together on this then. So that's what I have.
Okay.
And I appreciate the lively conversation about Albert's romantic life through all of this. Happy New Year to you too, Chris. What are your thoughts, Chad?
I tend to believe that it is more of an urban legend. We're not looking at a supernatural animal or paranormal animal. I think it's something that has been twisted. I think it's something with mange, something so what you've provided. Like Heather said, she was drinking in Puerto Rico in '95. It could very well be that this other woman was as well, and there could have been a movie prop that was discarded too that she saw.
True.
So
I wonder, like this. The story is that she's standing in her kitchen window, and actually her mother is there as well. For full disclosure on the story, they see this thing go across the front of their home, or whatever the window faces. It's going across the property, and I'm not sure where the smell of sulfur comes from. In the story, if you're inside and this thing is outside, so.
right.
it's there's a lot of things that just kind of get loose. And even the author describes her story as getting loosely interpreted the longer it's being told, instead of staying to the true story that was the initial story. So, and I say that to say that, I was given this advice as a young man by my grandmother, and I know the intent, but it didn't stick the way she wanted it to. But she said, if you always tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything.
True.
Right. So I took it as a challenge to come up with a better story, a better lie. But as I've aged and matured and all that good stuff that comes with life experiences, I understand now what she's saying, and it really comes true to this situation.
Right.
So, and I'm not saying that she's not telling the truth, or she doesn't believe what she saw, but the story is soft at times as far as the recollection of it. And this would be a pretty life-altering experience that I would think would stick. So, and my apologies to Ms. Tolentino if you're listening. It was somehow, some way, somewhere, ever. Please understand that I believe you. I do. But I just find it so uniquely different, as time goes on. So, I don't know. I want to believe in this, Chad. I do. I want this to be a thing.
Yeah.
I want Bigfoot to be a thing, and Loch Ness Monster, all this stuff. It's so cool to think that this thing could be out there, and what it is even uniquely more curious.
I can't remember if we've talked about it before or not, but there is a theory that every time you remember a memory, you're rewriting that memory.
Yes, we did talk about this.
So, being that one person has seen it and seen the original and is remembering the memory and rewriting it, so you have to wonder how it's changed over the time, just in what she remembers seeing.
Yes.
So
it's like copies. A copy of a copy of a copy becomes faded.
Right.
And it's not as clear as the original. So absolutely, that makes total sense.
So
this is where I need to get Jerry back on and talk about some printing, right?
Exactly.
He'll talk us all night in a good way, a very good way. So, what do you think? Paranormal, not paranormal?
Again, as much as I'd like to say it's paranormal, I'm leaning towards I don't think it is. I think it's something explainable. We don't know what she actually saw, but these, as I'm moving my mouse over the ones that are here on the screen, the things that you're probably showing us here, it makes sense. It makes a lot more sense than something paranormal, but we can always hope. We can always hope that they'll find it. Maybe we can take a trip with Chris back to home and
it's true.
Check it out.
I'd say road trip, but we need a boat, so whatever, just trip.
Yeah. So.
And I'm, even though this is the International Society for Cryptozoology is defunct, I wonder if that reward is still good. It's out there, so somehow you got to be able to claim it. So let's go figure it out. Oh. Interesting. Okay. I did not come across El Vampire de Mocha in my research on this. So thanks, Chris. It's an interesting. And there is claims, if you didn't catch the very beginning, there are claims going back into the 70s of a thing that would be resembling the Chupacabra, coming from Puerto Rico and elsewhere in the Caribbean. So that ties in at 1975. It ties into the timeline, at least. But the description isn't there.
I think it's a part 2 with Chris as a guest.
I think so, right? Well, there we are. To be continued.
So.
And the problem is Chris is camera shy, so.
Do you know a different Chris than I do?
Buddy, you're welcome anytime. Please come.
So.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I want it to be real, but I just I'm on the fence. I really am. And every time we do these things, and there's enough of a shadow of a doubt, to say that it is not real. I always visualize that infamous X-Files poster, I want to believe, with the UFO ship, and I do. I really do. And I wouldn't do this. I don't think either of us would do this if we did want to believe in what we're presenting on.
Right.
But when the evidence mounts to the contrary, or there's at least enough plausible evidence to say it's something else, then we run into the conundrum of is it or isn't it? And I think it's still up to the interpretation of the viewer too. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm never going to discredit a story. We work enough in the field with people who have experiences all the time where somebody standing next to someone else doesn't have the same thing. And
Yep.
we talk about it in the beginning of our public investigations. We're not going to discredit anything. We're going to try to figure out what it was, what it
Right.
could be. If it's an
Right.
environmental thing, an elemental thing in the space, we're going to try to figure it out first. But reality is, if we can't, then it was something
Right.
paranormal. So
Right.
here we are. These are claims that are unique. So
Mm-hmm.
they're not normal.
Yep.
So we'll call them paranormal. Leave it there. We got more. Wow. Well, I do think we need to take a trip. Let's get the red mill first, because that's on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we have that through, we'll head down to Puerto Rico and do some field research.
Yep.
We have a
Here's
link. Thank you, Chris. I'll take a good look at this.
So let's just not bring the Chupacabra to Red Mill. Let's keep those two things separate.
No, it's got its own stuff going on there. So yeah, we'll let it. We're good.
So.
All right. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds good.
So let's look at some other stuff.
Let's see what we got coming up.
Hey, we have dates! Yay!
We have investigations posted. Tickets are not available yet. Keep an eye on our Facebook page for when they're actually posted. Missy's going to get that up. But the dates
soon, though.
What's that?
It should be soon, though.
Yeah, that should be very soon. The dates of it's just sometimes it takes boobies a while to get it into their system and up on the active, but they are coming. January 20th is the first one for January. We're sort of spreading them out a little bit this year just to see if we can get the numbers up.
It's also a pause too. I mean, I hope everyone can understand. We've been doing this for 3 years now, every other weekend, with very few exceptions of holidays and holiday seasons and stuff. So we've been burning it pretty hard, and then we all have day jobs and we all have home lives. So a slight change in this, a deviation in the schedule to be a once a month event helps two things. One, it helps us, just recharge a bit, but it also helps make the event more of an occasion or an event to come to, a special thing. So
and it'll give us a chance to get to some other places too.
Yes, we're gonna try to get away a little bit more too and get out into the world.
So in the middle of all those investigations at Boobies, you will see May 11th the Red Mill Paranormal Investigation and Campfire. So we talked about that a little bit earlier. Chris, I hope you can join us again. I'm not sure what the schedule is there, but we had a good time last year. Jamie will be there this year.
So even better. It'll be even better.
Yeah. So I know Ron and Lourdes are definitely looking forward to it. I've talked to them a little bit. I'm sure Daryl's hyped for it. So
Daryl's always ready to investigate. So that's not a challenge there. He'll bring his A game as always.
And just a little bit of a teaser, you can find it on our Facebook page, but Daryl, Ron, and Lourdes will be at Boobies in October.
Yep,
so,
absolutely.
We're not going to push that yet because that's a little later in the year, but the three of them in Boobies will be a lot of fun. So.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to both of these. This is so cool.
Mm-hmm. So.
And we have as a team, I believe we have a trip or two on the books, but we're not finals on dates yet. So they'll come in here as well under the schedule. So we'll do episodes around them as we get closer. Kind of a pre and post as we've done before. When we've gone out to our own investigations out in the world. So away from the brewery at least. So more to come on those too.
So, and then upcoming shows.
Yeah.
Next week, I'm going to jump into divination and see what I can find out about that. Do you have an idea what that is, Jamie?
No. Yes, but
Okay.
no. I mean, I do, but I'm not going to put my foot in my mouth yet. So
Okay.
I'll let you, since it's your episode, I will
Yep.
let you take the
I'll
description.
save it for next week. Then you're doing. I'm not going to even try to pronounce the first word there.
Aokigara.
Okay. Japan Suicide Forest.
Yep.
Um, then we're going to sort of continue our Bermuda Triangle, Alaskan Triangle, and Devil's Triangle. Did you know there's actually 12 of these sites on the Earth?
Yes, I do.
So
Because I did some homework on it.
uh-huh. um, so I'm going to dive into the Devil's Triangle, which sort of ties into the Suicide Forest because it's in the same region at
Yep.
least. Not they're not tied together, but
Yes, exactly.
we're in the region, so we'll stick there. These are subject to change because we've got a couple guests who have agreed to come on, and we're just trying to firm up dates. So if they
Yep.
are available one of these days, we'll shift around so we can get the guests in. But then January 30th, ley lines.
Yeah. Now this was something I already had in the works, but I thanks, Bert. Yes, I see, I see your comment. We I already had this on in my book, as far as what I was going to cover this year, but you're teasing it a week or two ago as a request was heard loud and clear. So we're going to hit it as hard as we can. So very cool. So at least we know one person is going to tune in that night.
Yep.
Along with an ex-Chupacabra wife. So.
Oh, Jamie, be careful. Just be
I know,
careful.
it's just so funny. Okay, so obviously you found us here on Facebook and YouTube, but also we're on TikTok and Instagram as well. We have some good content on both of those places and more to come. Yeah, well, spelling does matter on this one. The good stuff is out there, of course, and of course, follow us on Facebook, give us a like, and actually, on all of these things, subscribe to us on YouTube, and give us a like on the others, and good content as we get it out there for you. You'll know when we're coming on these episodes as well. Thanks for joining us, as always. We appreciate the break last week. It definitely helped recharge the batteries and gave us some time to dig into some other things and cover some stuff we needed to get to. We'll be back, and for the foreseeable future, here we are. And
we haven't gotten canceled yet, Jamie.
I know, right? How's that possible?
We're self-produced.
Oh yeah. All right, cool. That doesn't mean anything. Goodness. It matters that you're all here, and we do look at through the week, we check in, make sure there are any other comments that drop behind it, stuff like that. So, but if you have a thought about what you'd like to see us do, anything you want us to cover, feel free to drop in and share with us. It does work, right, Bert? It works. You get an episode. This will be dedicated to Bert Lynch, ley lines, but it'll be on the tag. Make sure that happens, Chad. You're the technical genius. I said that out loud.
Might be closer.
I said that out loud, by the way. Like it's on. We got this.
Right.
But and we appreciate you. As I come away from the season of giving and family and all the love that comes with it, you guys are our family too, and we really appreciate you. Thanks for making last year so much fun for us to do this. And if no one showed up, I don't know that we'd still be doing this, right? Because we're just talking to ourselves, although we do that a lot.
Right.
Okay. The Mandela effect. Interesting. All right. I like this. Okay. Noted. Duly noted. We wouldn't be doing this, probably not, if at least folks weren't showing up and engaging with us and having some fun with us too. So we both appreciate this, and thank you for allowing us to follow this as far as it's going to take us. So stay tuned. There is more to come.
There is?
Not tonight. No, we're done. We're out. Right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Soon, next week. We'll see you all then. Have a great night. Have a great week. Take care.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you soon.